Well, I have something maybe relevant to hell. It's about money.
Okay.
You said that in your perspective, somebody like a televangelist who asks for money and over and again, that you in your personal situation, you would give to him just for the sake of doing it for God and doing it with a joyful heart, right? But
When did I say that?
Okay, that's my interpretation of whatever you said.
I never said anything about giving to a televangelist. I just said who's the guy we all agree to hate? The televangelist, because we so vilify money, you know. But go ahead.
That's not my question.
Yeah.
I know you want to take the microphone, but wait a bit. I have been to the USA with my wife this summer. Or was it last summer? Yeah, okay, this summer. And we had one preacher that we went to a conference to listen to him. 4 days, he was only asking us for money. Even if we had credit cards, we could come up and, swipe it. I was so stressed about it. And whatever you said now, I want to kind of ask you if something is evidently manipulative. How to handle that? Are we allowed to speak up? Do we need to speak up? Or do we just have to distance ourselves? Or do we even have to just give the money?
Well, how do we answer that question? If something is manipulative, no. No. Answer is no. You don't have to give money. No. I think that the problem is we have, and by the way, for 1995, I have a book on the table called Money, Sex, Beer, God. And I would actually encourage you to read it. I know this guy who, and this is sort of the opposite pendulum swing. I know this guy who came to this one European nation. I won't say which one it was. And he came to do a meeting. And these guys, they flew him in to do the meeting. And during the meeting, he asked the pastor, he's like, so, when should we do the offering? And they look at him like he's just a piece of crap. And they're like, you want money? Like, you expect an offer? And he's like, we flew you in. Okay, think about this. They're looking at him like he's crazy, expecting to take up an offering. So think about this. If you had a job, you were a pipe fitter, and you work, you go work for a few days, and then you say, well, what should we do about the paycheck? And the guy looks at you and he says, you expect to get paid for your work? We drove you. We drove you to work every day, and you expect to get paid for it? Isn't it funny how in certain cultures that is so ingrained in the mentality that as a minister, everything should be totally divorced from finance? And the crazy thing is, we don't have a revelation of this in the church. Because of this pagan Gnostic dualism, we've separated money and cash. Now, is there absolute manipulative extremes in this word of faith televangelism culture? Absolutely, there are extremes. But we can't throw the word of faith baby out with the bathwater, because there is a very real and true Pauline new covenant revelation of sowing and reaping. And the Gospels appeal to our expectancy in giving, okay? It's not this legalistic duty, out of fear or whatever, but there should be an expectancy. The Scripture is full of expectancy. And when Paul's talking about sowing and reaping, he's not talking about sowing good vibes or good cheer. He's talking about cold, hard cash. I mean, it's a real principle. It's not law. It's not legalism. It's a grace, the grace apostle, new covenant principle. So, are there people manipulating? Of course. Do we give out of pressure? Absolutely not. Is it a principle? Absolutely, giving and sowing and reaping is a principle. Do we just write it off thinking, well, I see behind the curtain, so I'm just not going to give? No, then you're just justifying your stinginess. And that's what a lot of people do, is they justify their own stinginess, and they think, well, they just want my money. You know what? Even if the preacher did want your money, his motives, I mean, like if I took your offering and went to Tahiti every week, that's between me and the Lord. Don't throw it off on my motives. It's between, your giving's between you and the Lord. And so that's the thing that I was saying about the guy who came to the meetings in Alaska, is like, I realized I was critical. And did I like the guy? No, still don't care for him too much today. Did I feel like he was manipulative? He was absolutely manipulative. However, my own criticism and my own heart, that was my issue with the Lord. So I'm like, even though I don't like this guy, I'm gonna sow a big fat gift. And you know what? The Lord blessed me off the back of it. And so, man, we just see absolute crazy supernatural stuff coming in. That's this a fact. Like, once you've seen it, you're established in it, it's a fact. I remember just this past summer, I was in Russia, and we were in Ufa. And this bishop guy, absolute sweetest guy in the world, older guy. He's not the kind of, there's not a bit of like con artist, sham kind of, sweetest, most humble guy. I mean, I was sitting around with all these pastors, and he didn't say a word. I didn't even know he was the guy that I was going to be doing meetings with in the next city. He just was quiet because he wanted the other pastors to like have time with me and stuff. And so we're sitting there, and I was just answering your question, but if you, yeah. So the pastors were sitting there, and we're talking, and he was just the most mild-mannered, just quiet guy, and he didn't even say, hey, I'm the bishop you're going to be meeting with next. He just was really sweet, quiet guy. So we go to his church, and when I'm going to the mission field, I'm not going like looking for cash. I mean, there's meetings where, you have practical things. People pay registrations. You've got bills to pay. You've got, air tickets don't appear out of thin air. Well, you're a man of God. You should create food magically on the table. I mean, they're practical things, right? You pay for. But when I'm going to the mission field, I know I'm not getting paid. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. Well, I'm in Russia. When I go to Russia, I'm not looking for offerings or whatever. And generally, people make about a sixth of what your average person would make in America, like in terms of income, right? So I'm in Russia, I'm with this guy. They do this offering, and I actually took up an offering for their church, just for them. It wasn't even a big deal. And then he gives it all to me. And they give me like a couple $1,000s, which is huge for Russia, right? And I was like, dude, I don't want this. He's like, no, just take it. Really sweet guy, okay? A couple months back, and this wasn't long, this was just this summer. A couple months back, the guy goes and opens his safe, okay? He has access to his safe. Other people don't have access to his safe. Opens up his safe. Inside of his safe are 750,000 rubles have appeared in his safe. 6,000 euro. We're talking like full on, like a lot of money. Just boom. I'm telling you, we've seen so many crazy supernatural money miracles. And I'll talk about some of this stuff later. But I'm just saying there's a real principle in here. So if we just want to be critical, so often when we're being critical, it's in order to get out of our own responsibility. But grace doesn't put a responsibility. You're free to participate in this. You don't, that's fine. But I mean, when you get sowing and reaping as a new covenant principle, the whole giving thing flips in your head. It's not this legalistic duty. It is like, why would I not want to? Like, if I see there's the loosest slot machine in Vegas, it always gives you a jackpot. It's like, you'd be an idiot not to stick everything in there. And I come out of this long history of criticism and religion and fear and all this kind of stuff, and the Lord just broke this stuff in me, man. And I'm telling you, if people don't get offended at the gospel, they'll get offended at miracles. If they don't get offended at miracles, definitely will get offended at money. So that's just how it is.